Hey everybody, welcome back or welcome to the Science of Gaming series. I'm Taylor Johnson, and in this episode, we speak with Brian Saintt Baroska. We get into a lot of great topics and jump into learning about player development and key attributes that he looks for, team chemistry and composition, as well as we hit some rapid fire questions at the end. We hope you enjoy. Brian, it's great to have you on.
Good to be here.
Cool, man. So I'd love for you to start off and just give us a background of where you've been and what your current role is.
Yeah, so my name is Brian Saintt Baroska. I've been a coach in the Call of Duty scene for a few years now. I think I'm coming up on 3. I'm the longest standing coach currently in the scene. Used to play professionally way back in the day, but college kind of got, in the middle of both of those things. I couldn't really balance 2 at the same time, so I decided to finish up school. And then, as soon as that whole point of my life ended, I kind of got a coaching offer, and I've been riding with that ever since.
Awesome, man. And so what I want to do now is really kind of get your take. I mean, having been in the scene for as long as you have and with your background and experience, I want to get your thoughts on player development. And we could start off with, what are the key elements of what you think makes a great player at that level?
The big thing for me is getting players who have, a really good and healthy mindset where they're extremely coachable and able to work well in a team environment. I think going into the season and during the preseason, a lot of people were absolutely disregarding our team, putting us, 10th, 11th, like way on the bottom of the list. People were like, oh, this team's not going to be any good. It's kind of just, a bunch of players who, aren't superstars. They aren't these, big name players, yada, yada, yada. But forming this roster, everyone had a super good mindset, and they were all players who I knew would work really well together. And I think that's shown throughout the season. I mean, ever since the start, people have kind of been regarding us as one of the top teams, ever since we started practicing. And our results have shown it. We went 2-0 on the opening weekend. Then we got a 4th place. And then we had back-to-back second places, just falling short in each final. So I think we've really gone to show that, having the right mindset and having players who are really coachable and able to fit in a team environment goes a lot farther than just putting teams together consisting of a bunch of talent.
Yeah, for sure. So can you talk to me a little bit more about like that team chemistry? Like what are some of the things that go into that? Mindset's obviously one of them, being coachable. I find that to be true across all competitive environments. If you're coachable, then it just levels up all aspects of gameplay. So talk to me a little bit more about that chemistry.
Yeah, see, I think with our team, no one on the team really cares too much about the stats they put up in game. No one really wants the fame or like the spotlight, or where all the fans are talking like, wow, this guy's the best, he's so good. No one really has that mindset where, that's like the main thing for them. Everyone wants to be a player that their teammates can look upon and rely on, and, get the job done in the team environment. So I think just all the time we spend together outside of the game, I mean, obviously not anymore, as a lot of people have went home, but, during the season when everyone was in Minnesota, just all the time we spend together every day, being in our facility every day, and just having that team environment and that team bond, I think really helps us take it to the next level.
Yeah, for sure. So I definitely am hearing, it sounds like all the players on your roster have that growth mindset being the first one. Then also, it's not about the stats and the glory. It's about the collective goal of the team itself, which I think a lot of that falls back on the coaching as well. I mean, you guys setting the example and the vision, that roadmap, and being a part of that continuity is huge. So talking a little bit about like the support as well. I mean, being a pro player, you obviously need a lot of support. So from a coach's perspective, what does that role look like in terms of offering support and guidance?
I think it not only comes from myself, but it comes from my assistant coach, and the entire staff we have here is always super hands-on with the team and always willing to help them out with anything they need. I think all the players know that they can reach out to myself or Jake, or any upper management in the staff as well, and they'll pretty much get back to them immediately and help them out with whatever they need. And I think a lot of teams and organizations are pretty hands-off in that aspect. If you look at like a bunch of other franchises, those players, never talk to upper management or, anyone on that side of the business. So I think our whole team and our ownership being hands-on really creates a good environment.
Yeah, totally. I could see that. Share a little bit about like practice. Like, how do you guys go about setting up practice? What are the things you're thinking about? And you don't have to give away any secret
Hmm.
sauce, but just kind of the overall like framework of how you go into that. 'Cause I imagine, I mean, a lot of teams have a lot of similarities, but there are differences.
Yeah. There's slight differences. I think our team is the best at finding out what our mistakes and our flaws are and being able to work on those. I mean, throughout the season, we've had different strong maps and weak maps. I think when we find out a map's really weak in our pool, we're able to take it and just reinvent that one and turn it into one of our strongest maps. And I think that's one of the best things about this team. But our general practice routine isn't anything too crazy. We'll start scrims around 1 Central every day, and we'll play those until usually around 7 Central or eight Central. If we're getting like a little crazy, but besides that, a few days a week we'll also review film before practice, kind of talk about our goals for the day and what we need to work on.
Awesome. And throughout that like practice day, I imagine those are broken up into like scrim blocks or is it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We play 2 full scrims generally versus other teams in the pro league, and then throughout the week we'll maybe play a third scrim against one of the top amateur teams because we think they're really good practice, and they're the teams that we can really work on our mistakes and flaws on as we have a bit more leeway playing those teams.
Yeah, totally. It's like having a practice squad. You
Hmm.
can try different stuff out and
Yeah,
kind of
exactly.
dial stuff in for sure. Um, okay, awesome. So what I'd like to hear now is, what do you think are the biggest differences between the pro players and aspiring pros?
I think the biggest thing generally has to be mindset, to be honest. When you look at a lot of the top amateur players, a lot of them have the raw skill, the gun skill, the ability to play the game at a high level. But what really separates the pros from the top amateur players is their resilience and their mindset, and to be able to work through hard situations.
Yeah, for sure. And I could see also, again, having the support or reaching
Hmm.
out and having the right mindset to be able to voice strengths, weaknesses. That's really important as well.
Yeah, see, the thing is with like a lot of the amateur players, the way I see it is they get on, they play their practice every day, and they're just going through the motions day in, day out. I think a lot of the pro players, especially on our team, have the mindset, okay, what do we need to work on today? What do we need to improve on? And generally focus on the things they actually have to work on rather than just, constantly go through the motions in like an endless cycle where you're not really making any significant improvement.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I know a lot of individuals when they sit down and they think about what their practice is going to look like, they try to reverse engineer like, okay, well, what does success look like? What are the outcomes? What are the behaviors? What's the one thing I can focus on that'll get me closer to that goal? And having that kind of roadmap and having that intention behind practice versus, like you said, just going through
Hmm.
the motions and just playing as much as you can is very important. And typically, I think also maybe there's a discrepancy between like, how much practice is played on the pro level and amateur level. And you want to speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, I think we are like in terms of like raw gameplay, I think we probably play a little bit less than some of the amateur teams. I look at a lot of amateur teams and most of them are playing, 3 sets of scrims every single day. And to me, that creates a lot of burnout. And, for my team specifically, I feel like when we play a third scrim, the vast majority of the time, it's not good practice. We're kind of just going through the motions, and it's very, very unproductive. So we generally kind of keep it at 2 scrims a day, but we go over film beforehand, and we talk about our goals and the things we want to improve on every day. And then if the players themselves want to get some extra practice, they'll go and they'll get in 10-man pickup lobbies after scrims.
Yeah. Cool. And so what are you seeing in terms of like outside the practice itself? I mean, the holistic model of player
Hmm.
development and what players are doing to really set themselves up for success.
I mean, right now things have definitely changed a little
For
bit
sure.
over the past month, but I think everyone needs to try and find things out of the game that help clear their mind and help them have a healthy mindset. I think if you're just playing the game day in day out and doing nothing else, it's going to hurt you mentally and physically because all you're thinking about is the game, and when every little thing goes wrong, it's really going to affect you if it's not like a totally perfect environment. You know, it's really going to disrupt the whole flow of the team.
Yeah, for sure. Do you feel like there's any part of the professional scene that might be a little bit overrated? And then on the flip side, what might be underrated?
Um, Something overrated in the pro scene. That's actually a good question. I've never really been asked before. I think the lifestyle is overlooked a little bit. People don't really realize everything that goes into what we do every day. I mean, these players don't really have time to do much else outside of game every day. I mean, our practice starts around noon, and a lot of them, will play pickup games until 2 a.m. or so every night. So there's very little free time throughout the day if you really want to make that climb and get to the top. But one of the underrated things I think is just all the travel, being able to be with like a group of people with a common goal every day, and just achieving those goals is what I find most fulfilling.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, it's that team chemistry and that atmosphere, going for a common mission and a common goal.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds like, when just knowing you and then knowing the players, it's, everybody's dialed in and wanting to really reach that next level. And it sounds like the humility behind it as well is a big driver.
Yeah, I mean, we have two people who have won a world championship in the past, and even then, they're probably the two people with a world championship that always get overlooked, that don't get the credit that they deserve. And we have three people who have never won a tournament, and they've just been in their first two grand finals. So I think everyone, is looking at things the right way right now, and really has the same hunger and drive, and everyone just wants to achieve that one common goal of getting that first win, and then just progressively rolling with that and becoming that dominant, dynasty style team.
Yeah, for sure. So when you're thinking about that, again, going back to the team composition and having the diversity of players, what are you looking for in recruiting? So you said a little bit before about the mindset and looking at players, but what would be like some more specific qualities that you look for?
I think you always have to look at raw skill first before everything. If a player has that raw skill, you're able to build and grow from there. And then once I see that a player, has that skill and is able to compete on a just a general gameplay level with pro players, I kind of fish around a little bit in the amateur scene, as I have a bunch of friends in there. So I'll ask them like what the players like outside a game, what their mindset's like, and how they approach things. When there's a player that just kind of brings their team down, even if they're a good player, is someone that I just completely disregard from ever stepping foot near our roster.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, definitely. And for I guess like the qualities outside the game itself as well. I think now there's been a definite push in health and wellness. Are you looking for players that are more with the health and wellness mindset, in terms of, again, the coachability to look outside of just the practice mechanics and start to really develop themselves with nutrition, movement, recovery, lifestyle, mindset?
I mean, that's definitely the ideal scenario. I mean, looking at our team, quite a few players on our team try and be healthy as much as they can. A lot of them work out every day, and they eat as good as they can. And I think those players really come into practice every day with a really good mindset, and just have the ability to grow and improve. And they're really easy to work with. So it could be coincidence that it's just like the type of person that they are, but I feel like people who are generally going to be healthier outside of the game are going to be easier to work with inside of the game.
Yeah, totally. Right on, man. Well, this has been great. This is good information. What I want to do now is hit you with some rapid fire questions. Okay.
No, let's get after it.
So either one word or one sentence, and whatever comes up, just spit it out. Okay. It all comes down to
will and drive.
Nice. Pressure comes from
pressure comes from, I feel like, the eyes on the outside looking in on you, and the pressure from other people around you.
Got it. Success looks like
holding up a trophy.
Nice. One word for what you describe when you look for in a player.
Coachable.
Love it. Well, Brian, I appreciate you being on, man. It's been great getting to know you and seeing your success and the trajectory of your career, and I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, it's always great talking to you, Taylor.
Awesome. Thanks, brother.
Have a good one, man.
Cheers.
Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed that episode with Brian. We covered some great topics from key attributes in player development, team chemistry and composition, understanding the support structures that are in place for pro players, his take on the differences between pros and aspiring pros, and then also thinking about what's overrated and underrated in the pro scene right now. We hit some rapid fire questions at the end. He gives some great answers. We hope you enjoy. Be sure to check him out on all of his social media links and check out our website, aimlab.gg, to find more information on our blogs.